Hi, everybody. This is Eddie Escobar. You are about to witness a brief conversation I had with our professor, Dr. Nolan Higdon. Now, the reason why I wanted to speak with Dr. Higdon was I have been recently very concerned with the spread of misinformation all over the country and on the internet, and the risks and the dangers of platforming people who give negative or bad information. Dr. Higdon has concerns over censorship and who can say what is right and wrong to platform. I have some questions for him on what are the net benefits and negatives of platforming people who are giving false information. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm here with Dr. Nolan Higdon, media literacy expert. Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Higdon.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, so Dr. Higdon, I just had a few questions for you. Uh, you've stated in the past that censorship is not the answer for misinformation. My question to you, is there a net benefit to platforming bad ideas, even though they may cause the spread of misinformation?
It depends what we're talking about with bad ideas. Someone's bad idea might be a good idea for someone else. And some of my resistance to censorship is not about the content itself. Like, believe me, I have a list in my head of content I wish didn't exist online. But the more difficult question is not about what content do we agree we don't want to exist. The more difficult question is, who do we trust to actually delete that content? Who do we trust to make an accurate assessment of our values of what is good, what is bad, and even what is true and what is false? And I've yet to see any group, person, or entity come along besides myself that I trust to do that. And I wager all other internet users probably feel the same.
That actually leads perfectly to my follow-up question. Do we risk helping the spread of having these conversations in public? So I know you said you don't trust necessarily a government entity or an individual with those things, but can there be how do I put it, a situation where, for example, the article in question that was spoken about in the introduction, we had the young man who decapitated his father because he was an enemy of the state from the information he found online. Now, in previous years, that type of information was always out there in the dark spaces of the web, but them being now put into the mainstream and being spoken by individuals and talking heads or literacy experts because of who's in power now, we risk spreading it even further and legitimizing it instead of it just being on the dark web.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing to take away is that humans are not empty vessels waiting to be told what's true. And that's a way of saying that just because you see something false or harmful online does not mean you're going to act upon it. And even in the case of this person, which I'm not too familiar with the case, but it's really tough to prove that content online is solely responsible for the way we act. That is, that media has some effect that controls the way we act. To give you like an example, I teach a lot about like white supremacy ideology. If I give the students an excerpt from like Mein Kampf, I don't expect them all to turn into Nazis. They have the power to look at a media text like Mein Kampf and be able to resist the message. They're able to deconstruct why this white supremacy ideology is intellectually bankrupt and hateful and problematic. So that's the way to say that we as audience have power. We can't simply blame the media because someone saw something and acted upon it. There's probably other variables that are responsible for that outcome.
It's almost like we're on the same wavelength here because you that answer was almost perfectly segue to my next question. Until literacy is something that is widely taught and not just something that is, taught in college classrooms of communications majors or marketing majors, what advice would you give to the populace to parse through false information and news and propaganda?
Well, I think one of the things, instead of preparing yourself to draw, conclusions on what's true and false, simply asking questions can be a very powerful act. So asking questions about, who funded the creation of this media text? What message is it trying to send? What conflicts of interest do the author or publisher have? What sources did they use? What sources did they not use? Who might this text harm if it's interpreted in the wrong way, or who might it benefit if it's interpreted in a select way? So asking questions can be really critical. Also, just slowing down, spending less time with more content. Try to resist the urge to share, comment, and draw conclusions right away. Instead, continue to look, continue to research, continue to understand more and more. Those can be, really transformative when we take those actions.
Oh, thank you so much. That information was very valuable. Thank you for your time, Dr. Higdon, and I hope you will have a wonderful day.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
This is Eddie Escobar with The Pioneer.